Good day and welcome to Ramble On, Armidale Regional Council's podcast.
Perhaps the Armidale Mall stage might be known as the Prinkle Chip going forward.
It cost a lazy $2 to $3 billion to build, so I have to say I don't have that sort of change. So, no.
Probably the best $4 million we've ever spent. Well, hello there and welcome to Ramble On, the Armidale Regional Council podcast. And welcome back to us, Season 3 no less. Happy New Year to everyone. Happy Lunar New Year for those that may celebrate that. For those that don't know my dulcet tones, my name's James Ronkin, aka J Ronk, and I'm always joined by the effervescent Mayor of Armidale Regional Council. I guess the name we go by, Yosemite Sam, but for those that don't know what that means, Mayor Sam Coupland. Welcome, Sam.
Thanks, James. It's good you mentioned the term Yosemite. I think anyone under 50 that didn't watch enough cartoons calls it Yosemite. Yeah. But Yosemite Sam, yep, it was the mustachioed cartoon character.
With the big hat.
With the big hat.
Yeah,
yep.
Great.
And carried on. It is good to be back. It's been a while. Someone was pointing out we haven't done one since December.
But Season 3, I mean, who would have thunk that?
Yeah. Well,
Season 3.
I didn't after you handed your resignation in.
Yeah, well, there you go.
Who would have thunk? So, Episode 1, Season 3. This is going to be a cracking season, I reckon.
I think it will be. I think they're 2025, I think, for Armidale Regional Council is really where the rubber starts to hit the road. I think, a lot of the hard work's been done. There's still a bit of work to do, and obviously some consolidation and transition and whatnot. But I think this is where the rubber really starts to hit the road. And I think I was going to ask you later about your new council colleagues 3 or 4 months in and how you're finding that relationship building and whatnot. But maybe I can ask you that now.
Yeah, look, why not? Actually, it's good. It is a good time to ask. So. Yeah, brand new council. Everyone's pretty enthusiastic, which is great. One thing that we are doing, and the first one starts on Wednesday, the 5th of February, I'll be having these fortnightly Ask Us Anything sessions at various cafes around Armidale and also Guyra.
Just you or the team?
No, me and one councillor.
Right, nice.
So a different councillor each time, and just a way for us to interact with those that want to come and shoot the breeze and effectively ask us anything. I did it with Deputy Mayor Todd Redwood beginning of last year, and that went pretty well. But I want to make it a regular event, so look out for that. And our comms team will be promoting which cafe, and we're thinking from 8 till about 9:30.
Yeah, great. Yeah, great.
Mosey on down before work, have a chat.
Yeah.
You never know, you might be able to eke a coffee out of me.
Yeah, indeed. Well, good luck with that. But I guess that's another communication tool that you're using, and obviously we've got this podcast and we've got the traditional ways that council communicates out to our community more broadly, but you're introducing something else, I think, as of the 29th of Jan. Is it? That was yesterday,
but it'll actually be today. So let's say as of 30th, and I just have to do a final little edit, called Regional Ramble. Regional Ramble. And
any sort of play on Ramble On?
Well, I think given the success and our 3 listeners, that sort of demand. But Regional Ramble is a monthly newsletter. Depending on how we go, we might up that to fortnightly, but let's open the batting with monthly, just an e-newsletter about the things that come across my desk. And I want to talk about, what it is that we're advocating for, some of the challenges. And I just think with a written thing, I can be go behind the curtain a little more than just a soundbite that you might see.
Yeah.
So that's a subscription. It makes it sound exclusive, but it's more to do with privacy. You can find Regional Ramble on the ARC website, and you can also register to receive that in your inbox, a bit like you do with the council. What's on in Armidale.
What's on, yeah, great. Oh, that'll be great.
So that goes out. I think the first one should go out this afternoon.
Excellent. Are you expecting rave reviews?
No, I expect what we normally get, mostly positive and plenty of negative. But actually, one of the things about this is I really am keen to get feedback Not so much, is it good or bad, but just ask questions about what's going on. So I just want to open those channels of communication.
I think that's a really good point too, and even your cafe sessions that you were just talking about. I mean, we don't have the monopoly on good ideas, so we don't always know what might interest people or what might not. So we sort of we'll talk about the things that we think people might be interested in, but moreover, we may be off the mark. So if people can provide that feedback, then that's a great way for you to be able to provide that information to people.
And also just to maybe, actually one thing we haven't done on this for ages is myth bust, and I can't think of any myths that have been getting around of late, but that's where the the coffees might be handy.
Yeah,
if you've got an issue, just swing on by.
Yeah.
So that's from a communication point of view. As I said, we haven't done one of these since December, but it really has been event season.
It has, yes.
So we had the Christmases; they were great.
Yeah.
That was early on. The fireworks, though, I was here for New Year's. Went into the Armidale one. Father Crackers from Holy Smoke just did a brilliant job.
Did his thing.
Oh, it was so good. And I know I am somewhat biased, and I actually put a post up saying this is better than Sydney, and I happened to be awake. Sydney must have spent $1 gazillion. Yeah. It was nuts, but ours was better.
And I suspect they may have heard your comments and perhaps tweaked it towards the back end just to make it a bit bigger and better.
Right at the last, blew up some of 2026 fireworks.
That's the sort of thing that they would do. And I understand the Guyra event was very well received.
It was.
Also, which was absolutely fantastic. So that's probably the last 2 or 3 years that council's really got behind those sorts of New Year's Eve events since COVID anyway, which is, I think, and people genuinely flock to them and enjoy them.
Yeah, that's right. And look, other events here in the region, Lamb and Potato Festival, of course.
Yes.
I've been up there a few times, although it's pulled up stumps now, but every time I went there was a bit of a buzz around. Unfortunately, I couldn't get there last Saturday for the car show. I went last year and it was brilliant, and they say this year's been bigger and better. So that was...
Saw some photos of that. They look great.
Yeah, it did. So, full marks to the, Steve and Chris and the others on the committee up there.
Yeah.
They did a cracking job. And Australia Day is...
Australia Day.
So that was big. We opened the batting with a dinner at Guyra for the Guyra Awards.
Yes.
And that was fun. We had our Australia Day ambassador was a beach ambassador, Brad Farmer.
Right. Yeah.
And he was cool. He was interesting. But Rita Williams, who pulled together the Guyra event, did a brilliant job. And it's great that people are out and proud and just celebrating what they've done. And I really congratulate all those, not who were nominated, but those that put nominations in. So when you see a good deed, it's important to recognise it.
Yes.
And Rita and her crew up in Guyra there actually gave us an outlet to celebrate and celebrate that recognition with the Guyra event. So that was a great one. Then I had breakfast again with Brad Farmer up at Ben Lomond.
Yes.
And that's really cool.
That is a good morning.
It is a great morning.
They do a great job.
They do. So there are a few songs, and then an Australia Day breakfast, and it was great. Brad and I then called into the Lamb and Potato Festival. He felt a little full. I thought he was being soft. I managed to scoff a lamb sausage that I think was deliberately over-sauced so I could spill it on my white shirt, but I didn't. And then we moseyed on down and had a look at the antique motors.
Yes.
Yeah, the machinery stuff. And it was great, and chatted to sort of really handy people there.
Yeah.
Pretended I knew what I was talking about.
Yeah. Did
a lot of listening. And then Armidale. And Armidale, we did it with the awards first.
Yes.
And that was great. There's been some really good... Yeah, there were some really great awards, people doing good things. So we did that in Central Park, and there were a few hundred people there. Great. It was an excellent, beautiful day. And then citizenship ceremonies, and as you know, they're a highlight.
Yeah.
Yes.
90, I believe. That's got to be a record, I think, for how many that have had to be done, but that's great.
It's excellent, including my dentist, Dr. Den.
Ah, nice.
So he did remind me I'm late for a checkup.
Well, it's always handy to run into him and not get charged for that reminder. I was just going to circle back to the Guyra dinner. I know that you're a fan of your gravy, and you've been a big rap for the dinner up there and the gravy. Same again this year?
No, new chef.
New chef,
Sammy.
Right.
That said, Sammy tweaked it a bit. I had beef Wellington.
Right.
I think it was beef Wellington. It was beef wrapped in pastry. But it was really good.
Fantastic, yeah.
And Caroline had something. I ate half of it. I can't remember.
And I did hear you were pretty good on the tooth around the desserts as well, up and down the table.
Yeah, you are right.
Eating desserts. Is that right?
Oh, I know where that came from. Look, it is true. Yes, I got through 3.5 desserts before I was pulled up domestically.
You're the king at that.
I am pretty good.
I admire that.
So, look, it was really good. New chef, I do love the gravy that the old chef did, but it was a gravy-free night.
Fantastic, yeah. And I think just as you touched on, Rita Williams and the team up there doing absolutely fantastic.
Yeah, it was brilliant.
Job at Guyra. Dorothy and the team at Ben Lehman do a fantastic job, and Beth and the crew with what they do up there. And
Barry on the barbecue.
Yeah. And then I think down here in Armidale, the Joe Harrison and the communications team here, the events team, our facilities guys, Bernie and the crew, just doing absolutely, and of course our parks and gardens guys in getting Central Park ready for the event, doing absolutely awesome job. So, well done to all of you for your involvement and efforts over the Australia Day weekend.
Indeed.
Good times.
What to next? Now we've partied.
Regional capitals and regional cities. I thought might be an opportunity just to sort of tell people that, we don't sit here eating cream cakes and drinking coffee all day. There's lots
not
of
all day.
Not all day. Yeah. There's lots of organisations that we're involved in and that we play a pivotal role in. I thought, mate, we've got a regional capitals meeting coming up in Canberra on the 12th of February.
Yeah,
big. Lots of ministers and up there at Parliament House. Did you want to chat about that for a bit?
Yeah, look, the Secretariat have been of regional capitals, of which Armidale is one, is a member. I think they've lined up about 6 meetings in Parliament House on Wednesday the 12th.
At least, yeah.
So that's really good. And then we've gone for a couple off our own bat as well. We're keen to speak with Tanya Plibersek about water and what she might be able to do, but also Chris Bowen and the Energy Minister. See what sort of a headlock we can get him in, because to date, energy supply in New South Wales and the renewable energy zones all been state government,
yes,
but it's directed from the feds, and we think we need a bit of love. We need the feds to start funding some of the things that they've been turning us down for. Yeah,
for sure. And I think, as the centre of Armidale being the centre of the largest renewable energy zone in Australia at this point, very important that all of those issues that we know are going to come down our way around housing, around water, around skilled labour and everything else that goes with that, really important that we try and get in front of them and get a head start on how we might be able to manage that. Because, whilst we can do our bit and we've done a lot of planning for it, we just can't afford to roll the infrastructure out. So, getting the feds on board would be a really important part of that.
Yeah, we've got to start that conversation, don't we? So
we do.
That'll be important in a few weeks to go down and do that. So that's with regional capitals. And then there's regional cities. New South Wales, we have, they're a very good lobbying platform. It can be much more targeted. So we've recently been involved, with some submissions for pinch points.
Yes.
Between cities. So that's traffic pinch points and a bit of lobbying around REX, whilst that, we aren't one of the cities that's currently serviced by REX. We were, and maybe in time that'll come back. So the feds have announced $50 million, or they've taken on $50 million worth of REX's debt to allow things to kick on. So
yeah, and a significant lobbying impact from. it's the same secretariat that do both regional capitals and regional cities, and they do a fantastic job on behalf of the member councils. But certainly, but at both forums. Armidale and a lot of the other councils have been very vocal about the need and the lobbying and the advocacy around trying to get some assistance for REC so they're not lost to regional Australia, essentially. So, yeah, great outcome. And on behalf of regional cities, we put our hand up at the last meeting to do a submission to the parliamentary inquiry around, essentially around the res zones.
Yeah, and the impact on communities.
Impacts on communities. And again, just from an ARC perspective, a big shout out to, whose names has just escaped me for a minute, but James Pryor and Stephen Wood, who both worked on that submission on behalf of council, and it's an absolutely cracking submission, and I think it really deals with all of the economic impacts and potential gains, but obviously the potential challenges as well. And I think that'll not only put Armidale Regional Council in a good light in terms of some assistance we might be able to get in our input to that inquiry, but I think just also with that maybe the assistance that we're going to need to make every post a winner here, because I think, as you've said previously, the res is coming. There's nothing we can do to stop it. What we've got to do is just take every opportunity we can to make the most of it and get what we can. So, yeah, good times. Indeed.
And Armidale has been a bit of a thought leader in all of that. After this podcast, I've got to hook up with the, I guess it's the member body for the Victorian councils. They want to talk about the concept of the Future Fund and community benefits, because I certainly know that local government and the communities in Victoria are being skinned because they're just in a bit of disarray. So what we've been able to do here in New South Wales is streets ahead. So they reached out last week, and I've got a Zoom with them shortly.
That's great too, and I think that'll be a great outcome. Yeah. Now, how are you seeing the weeks and months ahead? What's on in the mayoral diary?
A lot of your team getting us councillors into workshops, which is which is good. And so, just for those listening, we've had a few workshops, but I'm thinking about the delivery plan, which is the 4-year what's going to happen each year.
Yes.
To the extent that we can, that ties into the community plan. But the 4-year delivery plan is where we've tried to put some projects in and prioritise really around timing for those. So we've got another workshop for that, I think, coming up tomorrow.
Tomorrow, yes. Yeah.
And then we've got a raft of budget workshops.
Yes.
So some of these workshops are skill building, some information. So with a bunch of new councillors, there's a bit of skill building that goes into it. So it'll be really interesting to see what the budget has to say.
Yes.
And your team are pulling that together. So what are some of the timelines around the budget?
Yeah, well, we've got the DP session tomorrow, as you mentioned, and that'll really be, it's been off the back of the community consultation that started in early September, just prior to the election, and we knew that we needed to get a head start on that process, leading into an accelerated review of the community plan with a new council, plus all of the induction process that was needed there. So we started that process. Councillors have been able to essentially have some workshops and talk about their priorities and where they want it to be. That's all been taken on board by the staff. And so the DP that gets presented tomorrow is really just a collation of all of that information, with some rough budget numbers. Or really we just need the green button from council to say, yep, we're comfortable with where this is headed. And then our teams have been working on a lot of doing the costings for the information and the stuff that's come forward from council. But once we know definitely what it is, and there's no new stuff, either new stuff coming in or current stuff going out, then we can really hit the button on that and make sure that we can get that stuff properly costed for council to consider as part of its operation plan. And then I think in February, all of this is interlinked. So they've got the integrated water cycle management strategy work that we're doing, and there's water pricing that will be a feature of that probably around March or so. But probably now from about early February through to early April, there'll be a number of budget workshops, operational plan workshops, and just really tying all of this together with the view to getting that program, the draft budget, up to council for the April council meeting, and get that out on public exhibition where it can be formally considered by the community with a view to having it adopted at the June ordinary council meetings. So, yeah, dates, I can't give you the specific dates, but probably, at least sort of every 7 to 10 days, from now on, there'll be a budget workshop or an operational plan workshop, or a combination of all of those, just in terms of bringing the budget together and presenting a good piece of work. One of the things that I've asked the team to do is work on a surplus budget this year as opposed to deficit budgets that we've run over the last couple of years. We're in much better shape now. 25-26 financial year will be the third year of the special rate variation. So, and now armed with that, we're really, I mentioned those terms, transition and I can't think what the other word was, but coordination anyway. But really it's now for us, it's about starting to build up. Part of our mantra has been wanting to not outsource as much work, try and build our own workforce up to do the work. So, the money that our ratepayers pay into council for infrastructure renewal, if we can do that as a council, that money stays in the community and it circulates around, rather than getting contractors in from Sydney and the money leaves the area and we never see it. So we'll be in that process now of just trying to build that workforce up. An example of what we've really been able to do of late is just build our project management office up. That had been really light on. We'd only had sort of 1.5 people in there. We've now because we've got so many projects on and we're able to do so much more, the bridge program's a classic example of that. That's sort of one person on that full time. And so we're really just trying to build that capability and capacity in the business, the design engineering rather than outsourced design work. We can do a lot of that work in-house a lot cheaper and a lot quicker and turn that into fully costed projects that when grant opportunities come along, we're able to, with some confidence, be able to say, right, this is what it's going to cost and this is what we need, and we can manage those projects internally. So that's just one example. And then we've got an outdoor workforce that we also want to build up, and with drainage crews and concrete crews and those sorts of grading crews and those sorts of things, just to take advantage of the additional money that we're raising through rates, which is essentially at the moment going towards infrastructure renewal. So there's a lot happening, and all of that will be presented to council in a really sort of systematic way, so council can get its head around it, understand where we're headed, and if we need to pivot, based on those discussions, then we're in a position where we can do that nice and early rather than too late and everyone sort of feels trapped and has to accept what they want to do. So, lots on over the next couple of months, but it's very exciting.
I've got two other things that certainly from my end. The first one, this is over the next few months, but I'm sort of thinking mid-March, we'll stand up our key pillar working groups.
Yes.
So I've been doing a little bit of thinking in the background about that, and for those listeners, that they're effectively the old council committees.
Yeah.
So a couple of councillors, a few staff, and then members of the community. But I'm keen to have a community round table sort of mid to late March.
Right. Yeah.
And that'll be by invitation and expression of interest. So we'll be seeking that, who wants to come along. So just for input from the community about what projects might we chip away at. So that's
great.
That's something on the radar. And then the second thing, of course, is the recruitment for your replacement.
Ah, right, yes. How's that going?
Pretty well. So we put out a video to promote the area. I thought that was pretty good, and we've had really good feedback on that. Monday morning we'd had 36 inquiries, which was 20 applications and 16 after a bit more info.
Right.
So that's after it had only been up for 4 days. So we will see. Applications close on the 13th.
13th of Feb. Yeah, right. Okay. Well, that'll be and just for those that are listening, the process that you're going to adopt is it you got like a panel of councillors in the first instance?
Yeah, we do. We've got a panel of 5 councillors. So the recruiter will go through. They're going to present us with effectively the long short list. I have asked to see everybody that's applied, but the recruiter will give us the longer short list for us to sift through, and then whittle that down to some interviews, but also some psychometric testing that the recruiter will do as well. And then when we've sort of landed on one or a couple of people, we'll invite them in for interviews with the broader councillor group.
Fantastic, yeah, great. Oh, well, that's,
See what we can't have locked down by the end of Feb, early early March in terms of an announcement, and
Yeah.
in terms of when they start, well, who knows?
Yeah, fair enough. No, that's very good. Mr. Mayor, I think that's probably pulls us up. We're very fortunate today to have a guest in the studio.
And boy, has she been quiet.
She's been
great.
very good, hasn't she? Your
Yes,
daughter
yeah.
Charlotte. So, Charlotte's lovely to have you here to be able to listen and observe this. But Sam, no,
See how the sausages are made.
see how the sausages are made. Yeah, indeed. But no, Sam, thank you and welcome back for 2025. Looking forward to a huge 2025, and I think we've got off on a great foot with our what is it? Series 3, Episode 1 of
Season
Ramble.
3, yes.
Season 3, I should say. Episode 1.
You haven't been watching enough pay TV.
of Ramble On. But no, thanks for listening, and until next time, good day.
Thanks, James.